I know what you want. You clicked on this video because you don't want to work. You hate working. You want to earn passive income. You want to retire early. I understand that, okay? I totally understand. That's also my goal. So, how do we obtain this perfect life where we don't have to work, where we accumulate wealth while sleeping, while doing nothing? Well, I'll go straight into it. I don't want to waste your time, so I'ma tell you it's not gonna be easy, but I'll show you how to go from 0 dividends to 1k annual to 10k annual or even more. The exact number that you want, you obviously have to calculate for yourself, but let's just get straight into it. Let's start off with some quick math. We're going for 1k dividends per year. How much money do you actually need for that? Well, it's simple. Let's look at your dividend yield. What that means is how much dividends per year you get from the company you are invested in. Let's go with a low estimate of 2%, which would mean you need 50k in your stock portfolio to receive 1k of dividends per year. If you have an average dividend of 4%, you only need 25k invested to receive 1k annually. And if you have a higher dividend yield like 6%, that would be around 60k. I know a lot of people might watch this and either you're confused, what are dividends, then why are you watching me? Watch a video explaining to you what dividends are. Anyway, if you obviously know what dividends are, you're thinking to yourself, why only 6%? That's low. I know companies. Bruh, if you want to go higher, do your own calculations. But if you have a diversified dividend portfolio, also with an ETF or bond or whatever, you shouldn't overall have more than 6%. If you have, then good luck. I hope you have really good and stable companies, but I doubt it, okay? Anyway, you went from 0 to 1k. You know the numbers now, but what for 10k? For 10k, it's easy, bro. Why are you asking me? How old are you? Did you graduate elementary school? All you need to do is add a 0, bro. If you go from 1k to 10k, that's 1 0 more. So 2% yield, 500k instead of 50k, 4%, 250k, 6%, 166k. As you can see, okay, now it's starting to look like a bit harder, and obviously you're not gonna live off 10k per year. So you're asking yourself, why did this fool make a video about earning 10k dividends? Well, why only 10k? Because everyone's living situation is different, okay, blood? You gotta calculate yourself. Personally, I live in Germany, and for me it's maybe easier than for other people. I could realistically live off 20k a year, and I'm not even joking. Me and my wife could survive on 25k, maybe 30k if we feel a bit luxurious, and that would be enough. I don't know American living standards, and even if I did, I don't know your living standards. I don't know how you live. I don't know what you pay money for. I don't know what you need if you're in debt, what your current situation is. So you need to calculate yourself and set goals. Obviously, a higher goal would be 100k, and with 100k you add another 0, which would be absurd. A 2% dividend yield, 5 million. Come on, who's gonna have a portfolio worth 5 million? If you have 5 million, why are you watching me? That's why I stick with the lower number, because if you already have that money, then there's no need to watch me. Anyway, even with that, these numbers don't tell you a lot, because you want to know how you can achieve them. What good does it do to know the number if you don't know how to get there? So, how do we get there? And for that, you can set yourself a goal. Like I said, I'll calculate just based on what I think is obtainable for me, and I think others could also attain. For example, my goal would be around 500 to 800k to retire comfortably, because I want to have kids. I want to have the safety net. I'm not gonna retire with less than that and live on a couple thousands of dividends per year. I need that safety net. I need to know that the money that I earn is secure, that I don't have to worry about it. Depending on your situation, that goal could be higher or lower, I don't know. But anyway, Right now, I'm able to save about 1k a month, which is maybe a lot for a lot of people, maybe it's not, I don't know. But if you break it down, maybe you already start with money saved up, maybe you already have 10k, maybe you don't, maybe you start at zero, it really depends. But if you think about it, I save up 1k a month. What does that mean for the goal of having 500 to 800k? That would mean I need to save up 41 to 66 years. That's insane. Obviously, we ain't doing that. We're investing in stocks. We invest our money, we let it compound, we earn more money over time, accumulate more wealth, and we'll get there quicker. I'm not putting 1k aside, I'm investing it in stocks, in ETFs. So I'll show you a couple of graphs and do some calculations myself. Definitely not ChatGPT. These are definitely 100% right. Anyway, please correct me if they're wrong. Like I said, it's ChatGPT, so who knows, man. But roundabout, maybe they're in the right direction. They're just meant to give you a feel, a goal, an attainable goal, an understanding if you could achieve it or not. Most people, I'm literally guessing, by the way, I think most people watching this, maybe some still live with their parents, maybe some don't, but around 10 to 20k saved up annually is possible, I hope, for most people. If it's not, like, I'm sorry, I also did a calculation with 5k, but if it's lower than that, I don't know how to help you, man. If it's lower than 5k a year, if you can't save up more, then you're gonna have to wait a long time. So your focus should be on increasing that revenue stream. Maybe get a second job or just get lucky. If you earn that little or have that high of a living expense, don't let it get to your head. Relax, focus, you'll get there regardless. But anyway, so the portfolio growth that I calculated in this graph was with an average annually return of 6%. For those watching with a bit of knowledge, you're thinking to 6%? The S&P 500 has an annual return of 10%. Okay. But we're calculating with dividends that we're gonna reinvest. Plus, if you invest in the S&P 500, you're not getting no dividends. A lot of ETFs, yeah, I know they're also high yielding ones, but if you are playing it safe and smart, you're getting an ETF with either a low dividend or no dividend at all, and you're running that in the background, and you have your companies that you're buying and increasing the shares over time. I will talk about it later again, but right now with the math, just focus on the math, okay? As you can see, each dividend is grouped up in different yields. We have the 2% yield, the 4% yield, and the 6% yield with 10k invested, with 15k invested, and 20k invested annually. And I let it run for 20 years, and as you can see, the return with 10k invested, it looks huge. If you only invest 10k a year with an average return of 6%, and a dividend yield of 2% that you keep reinvesting yearly, after 20 years you'll have 491k. 491k, that's nearly close to my goal already. Obviously with the higher yields it goes more crazy. The higher yields, I'm telling you guys, don't dream that high. Be realistic, it's really hard. The 4% yield may be still achievable. There you would have, after 20 years, 623k. But the 6% yield, you gotta think, you have a 6% return plus 6% yield, that's like 12% return per year. That's top investor stuff. Anyway, there you would have around 800k. If you are able to put more money in annually, like 15k, that number would jump up like crazy. 15k per year invested would result even with 2% dividends at nearly 730k. That means it's already close to the high dividend yielding one. If we play the game even further, 20k invested per year, already close to $1 million. Just 2% dividend yield, mind you. So even though the return and yield is quite important, the most important thing will always remain the money you put in. The more you're able to put in, the faster and the more you can grow. Anyway, let's look at the dividend, because all that we want is to know if we achieved our goal of 10k dividends annually, and literally the lowest return with 6% return and only a 2% dividend and 10k invested yearly, you're already at 9.8k dividends annually after 20 years. After 20 years, you would already achieve that goal. With higher dividend yields like 6% dividend yield and only 10k invested, that number jumps up to 47k. Unrealistic. I would stick with the low amounts. But if you want to dream, it's also a nice goal to have. Maybe you won't achieve 47k, but maybe because you set your goal so high, you fail and still end up higher than 10k. So set your goals high and dream as much as you want. Anyway, but as I said, more money invested, more dividends, 20k annual investment, 2% yield, 20k dividend after 20 years, 6% dividend, 95k annual dividend. It's absurd, it's insane. These are just numbers to help you understand what is possible, but also motivate you to stay consistent, which is an integral part of all of it. Anyway, for the broke fellas, I also have the calculation for your investment with just 5k a year. With 5k invested a year and a 6% return and 2% dividend, after 20 years you would have 4.9k, so around 5k of a dividend. It's not too bad, but 20 years is still a long time. So as I said, try to increase the amount you can invest. The earlier the better. As you might know, the sooner you hit that 100k, the better, because of the compounding effect. A rule of thumb that I would follow for everyone listening is 100k is 1/4 of the way to a million. So once you achieve 100k, because of the compounding getting faster and faster, the first 100k you make on average takes up nearly 25% of your time. So the next 100k will be faster, the next 100k and faster, so you get to a million quite soon once you hit that 100k. So that's also an important factor to think about. Maybe a whole video I can make, but there are a lot of videos, so I'm just for fun and whatever content here, fun and a bit informative. Anyway, let's go back to the calculations for the broke fellas. 4% dividend, 12k, 6% dividend with 5k invested, 23k after 20 years. So either you have more money to invest in, or you gotta outperform the market like crazy. There's no other way. It's quite simple, but it's the truth. Either you have money or you have to outperform and be better than everyone. But obviously, you're not broke. Why did I talk to you all like you're broke? You're not broke and you're not stupid. You're the best investor, like I said. So let's look at your portfolio with a 10% return, 10k invested, 2% yield, 16.5k, 6% dividend yield, 86k. Let's jump straight to the 20k investment annually with 10% return and 2% dividend, 33k annually, 6% dividend equals 173,000. But do the math. 6% dividend yield plus 10% return is literally 16% annual return for 20 years. Are you really gonna make that? Are you gonna be the next Warren Buffett? I doubt it, but obviously you're the best. I don't want to doubt you, but there's a part of me that just doubts you. I don't know why. I'm just a hater, I guess, but you obviously can achieve that because you're the best, okay? Anyway, enough sucking off and enough math. All these numbers, I feel like, I'm sorry if anyone is confused. Comment right now if you're confused and I'll explain it again. Maybe I'll try to explain it better in the comments. Maybe you're talking right now, I just don't know how it comes across because I'm just yapping. I have my notes, I'm reading it off, I'm adding some humor, but maybe the listener doesn't follow. I don't know, you have to tell me. Anyway, let's get into the strategy, which is also important, and I'll keep it quick. I don't want to waste your time. It's important. Go make bread, go earn money. Anyway, the strategy is quite simple. First and most important, don't focus on dividends, focus on companies, okay? That's what you're investing in. You're an investor, you're not a gambler, you're an investor, and your money is being put into companies, not into dividends. So a good company equals a good dividend. that's all you want, okay? I know it's attractive to see, oh, 8% dividend yield, great. No, who cares? For me, the steps are easy. First, company good, then because I invest halal, is it halal? If it checks, then I continue, do my own research further in the company, then I look at numbers, then maybe dividends, and even if it checked all the boxes and it ends up not even paying a dividend, I still invest in them because I believe in a good return. That's the most important. For right now, and especially if you're young, you can focus more on returns and focus on dividend growers, not the ones that are already paying a high yield, but where you're expecting a high yield in the future. A company that has proven that they are already stable and they're gonna be a household name for the future. And if you think, you mean Pepsi? No, not Pepsi. Pepsi already is established. Everybody knows Pepsi. It's a dividend king. Maybe a dividend like Microsoft or Broadcom, they're technology stocks, but they're still quite lucrative because they've been showing signs that not only they're obviously a stable company, but also that they're gonna keep increasing their dividends over time. So especially Broadcom, if you invest right now, the return is gonna be absurd anyway, and then a dividend on top is just great. Anyway, I didn't kiss you. I did a chef's kiss, okay? Stop blushing, okay? I'm married. This kiss was just for my wife, maybe not for you, okay? Anyway, second thing, reinvest the dividends. I already talked about it in the calculations. There's no point in keeping $100, euros, whatever. Why? It's nice to look at. Maybe you want to have it cash and hang it on the wall. Oh, my first $100 dividends. But other than that, there's literally no reason. Reinvest the dividends, keep buying, which brings me to the third and last point, to be honest. It's buy dips, but yeah, what does that mean? It's always a topic where you're like, it's so easy, just buy the dip, but people still do it wrong because they're too much on Reddit instead of actually using their brain. Buying the dip doesn't mean, first of all, it doesn't mean timing the market, because your money is still in the market. Don't take your money out and then be like, okay, I'm waiting for it to dip and then I'll buy. No, that's not what I said. And it's also not, okay, it dipped, but I'm waiting more. No, that's also false. But it's also not, oh, it dipped, all my money in. No, it's so simple. First of all, it needs to be a dip in the market, not in the company. That's a huge difference. If a company dips, then maybe your company sucks and you need to look at it and reevaluate the company. If the market dips, it could just be Trump causing with his tariffs a lot of fear and everyone just takes their money out and they're scared or whatever. But the company didn't change, no fundamentals changed. So if the second one is the case where the market dipped, then you can start looking at good companies and then think to yourself, let's say you're already invested in the company, look at your share price, compare other metrics. You could do a whole intrinsic value calculation, or you could look it up with other YouTubers or analysts and look at the forward PE and whatever metrics you like, to judge which company is the most lucrative, which is the cheapest one right now. For me, right now, super cheap was Amazon and Google, which I kept buying. And then you don't put all your money in, you put some of it in, then you wait. I don't know why I'm talking like I'm talking to a toddler, but I'm so annoyed that people are doing it wrong. You're buying the company and then you still have cash. It drops further, then you can buy again. Maybe now you're a little on cash and you're thinking, okay, maybe I should stop now. But then it drops further, then keep buying. As long as the company didn't change, keep buying. Even, okay, you don't have any cash anymore. Now you reach your limit and it keeps dropping. Who cares? You calculated the intrinsic value, or you looked at a calculation. You literally analyzed the situation and you realized that the company is undervalued and you bought it. It dropped further, it was even more undervalued, you kept buying. Maybe you don't have any money more and it would be even more lucrative, but it doesn't change the fact that you bought it when it was undervalued, and it will go back up, and you don't need to time the absolute bottom. As long as you buy a company right now that is undervalued, you're doing the right thing. Obviously, it has to be a good company, but you know what I'm trying to tell you, I hope. Undervalued, good company, buying it right now. Whatever happens, happens. If it drops further and you can't keep buying, okay, who cares? Because in the long term, it will be worth way more and you bought it at a cheap price. I'm not gonna be upset if I bought some sneakers, some Jordans for $60 instead of $200, and then I see, oh, a week later they dropped to $40. Who cares? I bought them at $60, I got them cheap. I know shoes were cheap right now because the shoe market, everyone was scared because JFK said shoes are causing feet cancer or whatever, and that's why everyone stopped buying them and they made it cheaper. And I got them for 60 instead of 200. Yeah, it got even cheaper, but a year later nobody cares about what JFK said, and it's not true that the shoes cause cancer. And then you look at it and the shoes are worth 200 again. Are you really gonna be like, I couldn't buy at 40, I'll never do it again? No, you're gonna be like, damn, my money doubled in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I don't know. That's the mindset you need to have. And with that being said, I'm sorry for talking so long. I'll go into the yapping session. This ends the normal stock video and I'll just talk about my life itself if you wanna listen. If you don't, then leave, okay? Anyway, what is going on in my life? Yeah, right now, sports. Beşiktaş won derby against Galatasaray. If you don't care, I don't care about you. Just joking. Beşiktaş is the best football. S word for the Americans. Anyway, what else? Lakers played Houston Rockets yesterday. I'm Turkish. Alperen Şengün got crossed over by Luka. It is what it is, man. What can I say? Formula 1 weekend is ahead of us. Japan. Lawson, Antonelli, I'm expecting, and Leclerc, I'm expecting good results. Hopefully Piastri wins. I hate Norris. Anyway, I talk about sports a lot. What can I talk about else? Maybe movies. The princess movie. What was it? Snow White got flamed. To be honest, I don't care. People are always crying about the woke, whatever. Everything is woke. Yeah, I agree. I also don't like it. But at the end of the day, you can literally just not watch it and they will not earn money and then they will stop doing it. The bad reviews is funny and all, but I feel like people are still watching it. Yeah, I saw videos where the theater is empty, but somehow they keep producing it. Who's funding it? Somebody must be funding it. Somebody is bringing in the money. I don't know who. It's not me. I don't go out. I've never been in a cinema post-COVID, I feel like. Anyway, yeah, movies. In general, movies and music as well. I listen to so much old music and I don't want to be this corny fella like... Old music is so much better. This new no, it's not true. New generation is great. There's so much great music out there and so many diamonds in this shit. The only problem I have with modern music is that you are unfortunately forced to really dig deep and search for good artists. The best one there is Tame Impala. Obviously, he's mainstream now, but if you think about it, there's no Tame Impala, there are no Kevin Parkers in the world that produce their music, that literally drop an album, dip for 4 years, or 5 or 6 or 7. Please, release an album, we're waiting. My wife and I love you. Anyway, most musicians, they just produce this fast food music where they're just shitting something into the mic with a generic beat and call it a day. Sorry, that was my timer. That means I have to go pray. I have to wash up and pray. Alhamdulillah, yeah. Hate me because I'm Muslim. I don't care. It's all about love, man. Just show a nibbler some love, okay? Yeah, that's an inside joke, by the way. If you know the meme, show a N-word some love. It's the meme. And I say nibbler and my wife always laughs because I am diehard Futurama fan, and I also bought her a Nibbler plush. She started watching Futurama after me. She never knew about it. She's not that big of a fan like me, but obviously because she loves me, And she finds Nibbler cute, so when I say the word Nibbler, it's always funny. Quick interruption, I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but yeah, I didn't go praying yet. I will go in 5 minutes. I still have some minutes. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Football Manager as well. I love playing Football Manager. I'm obsessed right now, especially because I have my long flight to Singapore and I can't wait to sit 16 hours, 20 hours in the plane, and at the airport I'm going through Qatar. Anyway, and I'll play Football Manager the whole time. It will be loud as flip, but it's a plane, so my laptop won't make the loudest sound in the room. It's the loudest sound in the room with us. It's definitely not me, it's a plane, okay? Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. If anybody watched this far, comment, I love Football Manager. And then comment also like what you guys play. I'm interested. I need to go pray, and wherever I left off, I will just stick this in between. So I'll just say, yeah, and that's why I revealed another private thing about me. This yapping session is quite short, to be honest, but hey, gotta pray. Let's end it with a anecdote, with a quote. Everyone is different. You are different. I know. Controversial, I know, but I said it. Anyway, peace, love, bye.